everyone, this is the Chapter 12 Screencast Part 2. So by now you already should have watched Part 1 and listened to the audio or read Chapter 12 on your own, hopefully out loud. And so we're going to start this off by just talking a little bit more about text structure, and then we'll go through those comprehension questions and activities in the packet. We talked in Chapter 11 about text structure, about what it is, why it's important. We related it back to these thinking maps or concept maps that you can see on my screen here. And so in this video, I just wanted to remind you that we need to continue practicing this skill, but I also have some interesting questions for you that will help to deepen our understanding of text structure, and I think it'll make it a little more interesting for you too. So here are some questions that I want you to think about. The first one is, how would the story be different if we changed one of the chapters? Since we can analyze texts by looking at the different chapters, if you just picked one of those chapters and changed what happened in it, how do you think that would affect the rest of the story? The next question I want you to think about, and you don't have to write these down, you don't have to send us your answers for these, unless you're really interested and you just want to have a discussion in the comments about it, but this is not required, it's just to think about and deepen our understanding. How would the story be different if each chapter was told from a different perspective? So if we took the book, The Watsons Go to Birmingham, and every chapter was told by a different character, how do you think that would change the book and the structure of the book? Think about it like this. If chapter 1 was told by Mama, chapter 2 was told by Byron, chapter 3 was told by Joetta, if they were all different perspectives. And I have a couple more questions for us to think about. So, how would the story be different if it was written as a poem or as a work of nonfiction? So if it was more like an article about the Watsons. And what if an entirely different text structure was used? The last question I want you to think about is, if you could write the ending of this book based on what we've read up until this point, how would you write it? And what would you include? So just reading chapters 1 through 12 now, how do you think the book is going to end? Can you use that structure that we've already been given for chapters 1 through 12 to help you formulate a prediction for what's going to happen? There's still a few more chapters to go, so you'll have to see how accurate you are as we keep reading. All right, and so let's take a look at our packet and see if this text structure stuff can be useful in how we're approaching these questions. But for the questions, you have 4 to pick from. Remember, you have to pick at least 2. If you're feeling like you want an extra challenge today, you can do as many of these as you'd like. You can do all 4. So option number 1, you need to make an inference. Who is Mr. Robert to Grandma Sands? They don't say it explicitly. You have to think about it. Option number 2, on page 162, Kenny says, Birmingham was like an oven. The first night I couldn't sleep at all. Me and Bai had to share a bed and we were both sweating like pigs. What does Kenny mean by this? You'll also notice that the word like is underlined and sweating like pigs is also underlined. So really consider the parts that are underlined here and use your knowledge of what you know about figurative language and similes. Option number 3, how does Kenny feel about Byron joking and laughing with Mr. Robert? Why do you think he feels that way? And number 4, option 4, Mama asks Grandma Sands lots of questions about Birmingham. Why is Mama feeling so curious? Make sure that you're using complete 5th and 6th grade responses here. Don't rush through them. Make sure you're using proper grammar, punctuation, spelling, especially if the word is right here on the page in front of you, or if it's a word that you could refer back to in your book. We want to be mindful about that. And so for the comprehension activities, you're going to notice it goes on to the next page. So the first option is Have you ever dreaded an experience so much that you wanted to run away, but when you got there, it actually turned out to be really fun? Write about a time that you expected the worst thing to happen, but you ended up having a good time. Option number 2, compare and contrast how Byron was acting in Flint, Michigan to how he is acting in Birmingham, Alabama. What is the same about his behavior and what is different? My challenge for you is to have at least 3 things in each section of this bubble, but you might have way more than that, and that's awesome. I do want to point out, remember, Flint and Birmingham are cities in the states of Michigan and Alabama. So when you're thinking and writing about this, Flint and Birmingham are cities, Michigan and Alabama are states. And finally, our exit ticket in the packet is, what did we learn about the setting of Birmingham? So explain using evidence from the text to support your thinking. I do know that we had a lot of information in the first couple of screencasts that we did on Birmingham. Miss Weston shared a lot about what was going on during that time in history, so you can refer back to that and look back through your packet pages and think about parts in the text that mentioned what Birmingham was like during this time. All right. If you have any other questions for us, if you want to share your ideas with us, we are so happy to help. Join our office hours so we can see you and talk to you about the story, and we hope to hear from you. Miss Weston is going to finish the book with you, so I will see you guys in a different video, but let me know what you think.